What a happy song for a happy place. Wow. Welcome. And happy, humid southeastern Arizona. Words I never thought I would say. And I've only been here a year. But it feels like home. Being from Tennessee where it's humid all the time. It is a joy to see you. And I would like to welcome, first and foremost, my dear friend, Reverend Myra McFadden. Myra, come stand up. She is truly a ray of sunshine, not just appearances. She truly, truly is. Myra is a dear friend, longtime Unity minister. She has a church in northern Kansas City, Unity Northern Kansas City North.
Yeah, that's it.
I've spoken there before, been there many times.
Yeah.
So it's a delight to have Myra. She will be leading us in a special meditation today, as well as delivering the message. So give her a warm welcome. If you one thing. Myra is also the recipient of Unity Worldwide Ministries Myrtle Fillmore Award, which is a great honor, and she exemplifies that prayer consciousness, that heart, the pastoral nurturing, all of that. That's truly. Thank you. Okay, then we will go carry on with an opening prayer. Okay? We're just going to shake off the busyness of getting here this morning. Take in a deep breath. Open our hearts, open our minds, and surrender ourselves to the Spirit. The heart of the divine knows what's in our heart, knows what needs we may feel we have. And everything that comes our way today is tailor-made for us, to reveal to us the beauty that we are, the power that we have, and the fact we are never alone. Thank you, sweet Spirit, that we are each here by divine appointment, and we are grateful. And so it is. Amen.
Please stand and join us in singing Thank You for This Day. The words are in your bulletin. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, I'm so grateful, I'm so grateful. I want to say thank you, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you, I want to say thank you. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. Thank you for my life, Spirit, thank you for my life. Thank you for my life, Spirit, thank you for my life. This healing, this healing, this healing life. This healing, this healing, this healing life. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. I want to say thank you. Thank you, I healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. I'm so grateful, I'm so grateful, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, I'm so grateful, I'm so grateful.
Join me with our opening statement. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent, and our vision, a world of spiritually awakened hearts and minds, and our mission, which is what is ours to do to fulfill our vision. We are creating a joyful community on a spiritual pathway to peace and love through fellowship, classes, music, and services. Thank you. John Gessner is going to be sharing the highlights of our announcements and our daily word today.
The word for today is joy. I say yes to the joy that invites me in this moment. Joy is the call of my heart. Whether I'm at work or at play, I bring a spirit of joyfulness to everything I do. More than a mood or an attitude, joy is part of me and mine to live and to share. Like all aspects of my divine identity, joy flowers in my consciousness when I hold joyful thoughts and feelings. I express my joy as the excitement of anticipation, fascination at a new discovery, deep satisfaction in a relationship, and a tranquil glow from communicating or communing with God in prayer. My joy is contagious, and I love to share it. I have feelings of joy when I take part in a friend's or family member's joyous moments, their celebrations and accomplishments. I feel quiet joy when I offer encouragement and even when I give comfort, grateful to share the care and love of God. From Thessalonians 5:16, rejoice always.
Please join us in singing our sanctuary song, In the Silence by Jack Fowler.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there is release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said right here. In this holy silence I find God. I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there is release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said right here. In this holy silence I find God. I find myself.
indeed we find ourselves in the silence. And as we do, we open to the presence of God. And today I thought I would bring to you the creation story, the creation of humans. And we know that as human beings, we all have a longing. We all have a desire to answer the question, where did I come from? How did I begin? And so all cultures, cross-culturally, have their own story. We know the Christian story that is recorded in the Bible. And in the Quran, the story of creation from Islam is recorded very, very similar to the Christian story. Native tribes also have their own story. I am half Chippewa, half Ojibwa from the Woodland Indians. Some of you who are familiar with Native tribes may have heard of the Chippewa. We are Algonquins. So my father was from a reservation just 6 miles south of the Canadian border in Minnesota. And so today I thought in this meditation I would share with you a creation story from my tribe. So I want you to take this into your heart and know that from the very, very beginning, Gitchi Manidu, that is how we say Great Spirit, Gitchi Manidu. Gitchi Manidu created the world. And so Gitchi Manidu began with the earth, and the earth was considered to be female. The earth was considered to be Mother Earth. From earth came all life. And Earth, Mother Earth, had a family. And the family was the sun and the moon. And Gitchi Manidu decided that out of life on the earth, there needed to be more life. And so the very first thing that Gitchi Manidu created were the 4 sacred directions. And from the directions that began in the east, and the east was considered yellow. And so it symbolizes springtime or birth. And so it had its own special qualities of new life and new beginnings. And then from the south was the color red, and it created youth and summer. And if you can think of how summer is, there's vitality, new beginnings, excitement, and aliveness. And so the color red symbolized the direction of the south. And then as we move along, we can see that there is the west. And the west is symbolized by the color black, and it symbolizes adulthood. And so the wind of the direction was the color black, and it was adulthood, and it was the time to give, to use your gifts. It was the time to be productive, to create, and to create families and move forward as a contribution to one another. And then in the north was the color white, the sacred direction of the north. And this color also symbolizes wisdom, the wisdom and the quieting down of life, the time when we become a little more retrospective and share our wisdom, what we have learned in life with others. And so Gitchi Manidu created these 4 directions, and they were all considered to be very physical as well as very spiritual. And after that, all the creatures and all of nature was created on Mother Earth, the creatures that crawl, the creatures that swim, the creatures that walk, and the creatures that fly. And it was a paradise. Mother Earth was indeed a paradise. And Gitchi Manidu said, and now, on this creation that is happening, let us create human being. And so Gitchi Manidu took a large shell and took some earth from the 4 sacred directions, put it in the shell, and blew out dirt to the east, blew dirt to the south, blew dirt to the west, and blew dirt to the north. And from that dirt, human beings were created. And Gitchi-Manidu landed them as breath, and they moved upon the earth with a hidden fire of divinity within each and every one of them. And they came upon the earth. And we think of that as such a sacred way of being, called to live in harmony, called to live in peace, in love, in light with all beings and all living things. And so we look at the colors and we see that they represent the people, the yellow people, the red people, the black people, and the white people. And today, even though it's not Chippewa tradition, I add brown for our brown people as well. And we hold all people in the light. We hold all people in our sacred oneness. It is a tradition that brings us all together in the creation of all beings. And so I'd like you to just take this moment and close your eyes and imagine the world being created. Imagine that all that you see in the world is created by the great Creator, by the Great Spirit, whatever name is right for you. That the magnificence of the world, that the perfection of creation is held in the purest way, and that we are all meant to live on Mother Earth in a sacred way. We are meant to walk the direction of the east, the direction of the south and the west. We are meant to live in the wisdom of the north. And as we walk in these ways with ourselves, with each other, we walk in harmony with all beings. We recognize that we were all created as holy and sacred. And our eyes open wide to know within ourselves that all of creation, that all which we see and feel, all that we know from this Mother Earth and from all of the heavens has been created for good. And we allow gratitude to fill our hearts. We indeed do say, thank you for this day. Thank you for every day. Thank you, Gitchi-Manidu, for the creation that so blesses us in every way. So take this moment and allow your heart to be grateful for creation of the world and for the creation of all beings and all living things. And as your heart, as your being is filled with gratitude, we say, thank you, Great Spirit. Miigwech, Gitchi-Manidu, miigwech. And so it is. Amen.
each week. On Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. And he would speak the holy word and consecrate the holy bread. And everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the tide. Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad. Miracles don't happen still, but now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. And so the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely met my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in the sea of it. It used to be a world out there, heaven sent the rain hand me down. Now I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. And everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face and say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. And see another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then, 'cause everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second ray hand me down. Now I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
Everything is indeed holy now. Thank you. That was just gorgeous. I have to say, I know this isn't part of my talk, but I'm going to say it because I have a second. I just want to say, you all, the music here, and all of you are so friendly, so I just want to say thank you to Reverend Donna for having me, and it is really an honor to be with all of you. It is just so wonderful. Your faces are just so bright, and you're so darn friendly. Oh my goodness. So I just really thank you. So I got a question for you. When you think about your time when you learned about the creation story in the beginning of the 7 days and creation, and you thought about how human beings were created, of course, Adam and Eve come to mind. So what comes to your mind when you think of Adam and Eve?
Snake.
A snake comes to mind, right? And that temptress Eve, oh my goodness, that woman, right? And I think of fig leaves. I don't know about you, but we have all of these ideas about Adam and Eve and the creation story of human beings. Well, I wanted to tell you that the first thing that we want to know, at least in Unity and in New Thought, is that we believe that the story of the creation of human beings is that it's a myth, that it's a story. In Unity, we don't take the story literally, but we find the wisdom from it. We find the richness from the story. And, I got to tell you that the whole time I was in ministerial school, and even as a minister, I never told the story of Adam and Eve. I never did, because I thought it was too old-fashioned, and I thought it was for religious people, and we're not religious, right? We're spiritual. So it's like, what does Adam and Eve have to do with us? So I thought, well, I'm going to really stretch myself, and I'm going to find the good in the Adam and Eve story. And so I was thinking about it, and I recognized that, they are not, in my mind, the beginning of human beings, but they are indeed the first story in the Bible where human beings are mentioned. So I could get behind that. Can you get behind that? Yeah, because they were the first ones. Now here's the weird thing though, because down the road, and I'm a little ahead of myself, but down the road they had these kids. And they had these kids who then wanted to get married and procreate. So Adam and Eve are the first original people. Where are these wives and other people going to come from? And they left, and they went to other places and found people. And the Bible never explained that. So this is what I want you to know about the Bible. It is a book of wisdom. But it is not a book where it always makes sense, right? It doesn't always make sense, because I thought, where did those people come from? And did they have a creation story somewhere else? And were we those people somewhere else? And like my family, my mother was from Japan. Maybe some of her people were those people. It gets very confusing as to how we began the story of the creation of human beings. But because Unity's tradition is in Christianity, I thought, wouldn't it be great to start with this story? So let me read to you, paraphrased, the story of Adam and Eve. So as you know, God, as God was called, created all of life, and on the sixth day, God created human beings. And so here's the story. Then God formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. God planted a garden in the east in Eden, and there put the man that he had formed. God made it all kinds of trees to grow, trees that were very pleasing to the eye and very good for food. But in the center, there were two trees, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So here were these trees, and so God was instructing the man, and he said to him, you can eat from any tree in the garden, any tree at all. And notice the tree of life, notice the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But do not eat from that tree, because if you eat from that tree, you're going to die. Well, I don't know. I'm a good listener. I would have never eaten from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But so Adam went along, and he was doing just fine. He was hanging out, and he was eating, and he was having a good old time. And then God said, we need more human beings here. And so it says that God then said, it's not good for man to be alone. So God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. And while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs and closed it up with flesh, and out of that rib, God created woman. Now the man said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, and shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. So we have man and woman, and we have and they're doing fine. They're relaxed, they're easy, they're having a lot of fun in this garden until the day happens when Eve is there and there was this snake that was considered kind of cunning. We give it all sorts of adjectives, right? I mean, wouldn't you give it adjectives? Clever, cunning, deceitful. I mean, we could go on with all of these things, and maybe that's why most of us don't really have a great affinity for snakes. I don't know. Maybe that story stuck somewhere in our consciousness. But anyway, so the snake comes up and it's kind of slithering around, and it comes up to Eve and it talks, because we know all snakes talk. So it talks, and it says to Eve, "Hey, how you doing? Are you having a good time?" "Yeah, I'm having a good old time." "Huh, hungry? What's going on with that one tree? I noticed that Adam won't eat from that tree." "Yeah, well, God is our boss, right? And God said we can eat from any tree, and that tree over there, that's the tree of life. And that tree over there, that's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And we cannot eat from that tree, because if we eat from that tree, we're going to die." Well, the snake said, "Who's going to believe that?" Come on, are you kidding me? God was just pulling your leg. And he said, "Did you look at that beautiful fruit on that tree? It is really looking good." So Eve thought about it. And she said, "Yeah. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I could die, but I don't even know what die means." And she was full of life, so I mean, what is that, like getting poked, or what is that? So she decides to eat from the tree, right, of the knowledge of good and evil, and she's chomping away on an apple, and she calls Adam over. Adam looks at her, and she's having a good old time, and she says, "Hey, have one." Now, let me point out something to you right here and now. Okay, so she says, "Have one, have some." Nobody held a knife or a gun to Adam. Nobody did. He just decided to eat all on his own. He was a grown-up, and he ate on his own, but she gets in trouble for that. So he ate from the tree, and they're just having a good time. They're like, "I don't know what the deal is. This is good. I'm having a good time." But do you know that that tree of knowledge of good and evil was really the tree of an awareness of the human mind? It was the tree of now living in a consciousness of duality, right? Because it is the human egoic mind that has the awareness, the knowingness of good and evil, right and wrong, of polarity, of difference, and not of oneness, and not of harmony. And as they were eating away, now remember, they were the only two people on earth, and they were looking pretty cute, just as they were, because no one saw them as not cute. Now, and so they were naked. Now imagine this room full of naked people, okay? Or don't imagine. Okay, whatever. But imagine that, because they had no judgment of each other and of themselves. But the more they chomped away at this fruit, they started looking at each other, and they thought, "Oh my gosh, I'm naked. I have to hide myself. I can't be seen in this way." And it was then that they first learned shame. And so they looked at each other and they said, "We can't be exposed. We have something to hide. We're not acceptable as we are." So they put together these fig leaves. They sewed them up because they had a Singer machine in the corner, and they just whipped them together, and they started wearing these fig leaves. And so there they were, still eating away, wearing fig leaves. And then God is calling, because God does call us, right? So God is calling, and God is calling Adam. "Adam, where are you?" And Adam says, "Oh, I better hide. We ate from the tree." So finally, Adam, where are you?" And then Adam comes out and he says, "All right." I mean, there's no hiding from God. We all know that. So no hiding from God. He comes out, and Adam says, "Here I am. Well, God says, what are you doing? Did you eat from that tree of knowledge, good and evil? Yeah, I did. And I call it the Asian shame pose. Yeah, I did. Right like that. And then he said, and what's that y'all got on? Oh, well, we gotta cover ourselves up. You know, we can't just be like this. So God said, why did you do that? You were living in Eden. You were living in paradise. And you did the one thing that I asked you not to do. Well, in the story, God gets mad. Because remember that back in ancient times that the books are all created by people. And God was created as a person. And so God got mad. Why? Because people get mad when you don't do what they want you to do, right? So God gets mad. And God says, well, that's it. You blew it now. You blew it now. Now, Adam, everything was given to you. Everything was good. But now you're going to have to work for things. You're going to have to find your way. You're going to have to provide for yourself. Life is now going to be a struggle. And then he takes a look over at Eve. And he said, wow, well, you know, you're the creation, where creation is going to move through you, and it's not going to be fun. When you have babes, man, oh man, it's not pretty, it's not fun. You're going to suffer. And then he looked at the snake and said, you're going to keep crawling on your belly and digging between the dust, and you're going to be looking and groveling for things to eat. Well, I listened to this story, and I was good until we got to God being nasty. I mean, I don't know. So you can take that piece how you want to take that. But essentially what God was doing is God was saying, there are consequences. There are consequences. And as beings, we have free will. We have free will to choose. And if we look at this story, if we can interpret it a little bit, we see that God is that knowing. God is that truth within us. God is that knowingness that knows, that knows, that knows. And how many of us here know when we are connected to truth, right? All of us. We all know when we are connected to truth because we are created from truth. We can feel it. We know when we are aligned with the Spirit and the power and the presence of God. It is undeniable. And so when that Spirit of God speaks to us, leads us, and guides us, and we are living in that guidance, we are living in that truth, life is good. We are living in the Garden of Eden, are we not? Right? And it doesn't matter what our circumstances are. It doesn't matter what's going on in our world because we are attuned with truth. But there are times in our lives when we are curious. And I don't think Eve was necessarily bad or wrong, but she, out of free will, was curious. Well, why is there that tree? And why can't I eat from that tree? And what is death? What's going to happen to me? And why would God punish? What is punishment? And there are times when we are all in that place. When we are making a decision about life, when we are moving about our lives, and we know that we are led a certain way, but there's this part of us that says, what if? And we make a choice or a decision that we know is not of God. We know that it's driven by our ego. We know that it's driven by our curiosity, but not our wisdom. We know that it's driven by our senses because the snake represents the senses in the world and our sense of sensation and experience. And have you ever been there? Have you ever been in a situation where you were at a crossroads, where you were tempted by a situation or in a relationship? Maybe it was an action that you took, and you knew that you had an option that was not necessarily of God, and you took it anyway, and you did it anyway. And that is when we live eating from the knowledge of good and evil, or the knowledge of the world. And when we do that, there are consequences in the world. But here's the thing. We always have the option, because we were born of God, to return to the Garden of Eden. It's a consciousness. And so when we come back from that decision to go in that direction, and we see where it's gotten us, we see that it's taken us farther and farther and farther into the mind. It's taken us farther and farther away from our spiritual nature and that which is of God. We wake up, so to speak, in this dream we're having, and we can come back and align and eat this time from the tree of life, which is the tree of truth, the tree of spirit. And when we do so, we find ourselves back in the Garden of Eden. So I want you to take a moment and think about this wonderful, curious story. And know that you are Adam. Know that you are Eve. Know that sometimes you are the snake. I mean, you may as well fess up. Sometimes you're the snake. But you are also God. And you always, always have a choice. Your free will allows you to choose. What a gift it is to have free will. And when we choose again and again and again to align with the Spirit of God within us, it is not about being obedient. So often this story is told as being obedient, and Adam and Eve were disobedient. But we can interpret it in another way. We can interpret it as the tree of life of true spirit, our divine nature, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, our human nature, and the tree of that consciousness. And we as human beings have both consciousnesses within us, and we can always choose. We can step out of the Garden of Eden, but here's the thing. Because we are of God, we can re-enter when we choose once again to eat from the tree of life. You know, I think about a mistake that I made, and I don't really know that it was a mistake, but it was an error in judgment. And I knew I was making a decision that was wrong. I knew inherently it was not the right decision to make. And I knew it. Have you ever done that? Right? And you know? Like, you know it's not the right thing to do. Not because anybody out there told you, but because Spirit told you. And then you did it anyway. Right? It's like that snake was talking to you and you listened and went, oh, what the heck? Well, maybe it'll turn out different. So maybe I'm going to just do it anyway. And I remember that time in my life, and I made a decision that was not wise. I knew it wasn't wise, but I was having magical thinking, and I thought, if I keep doing this, it's going to turn out the way I want it to, because I'm, of course, always in charge. So I will do that. It didn't turn out that way. And instead of living in shame, instead of living in guilt, and instead of living in blame, because you see, when God said to Adam, what did you do? Adam pointed to Eve and said, it's her. And then Eve pointed to the snake and said, it's him. And so we learned blame back then. So we learned shame, and we learned guilt, and we learned blame. And so when I look at a mistake that I am consciously making, and I make it anyway, I can now think of this story. And I can say, I can choose again because of my free will. And I can choose in this moment. Doesn't matter what I did 10 minutes ago. In this moment, I can choose to eat from the tree of life. And I can be born again into the Garden of Eden. And so that is my message for you today. I want you to think about, if you will, about your ability to use your free will in those times and to decide which tree will you eat from. Which tree will you eat from? And if in your reflection you discover that you were eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, allow yourself in your reflection to choose again. And this time, in this now moment, choose to eat from the tree of life. Thank you so much. It's been an honor to be with you.
Let's sing a song about being in our divine nature. Join us in singing Blessing to the World by Carrie Drucker.
You are a blessing. We are a blessing. And Myra, you are a blessing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was delightful and insightful. Oh, we are now going to bless our offering. So I would like for you to take your gift in your hand or visualize it in your mind if you mail it in or you contribute financially in some other way. Because this is the time where we recognize the flow of love to us and from us and a circular, ever-increasing flow of divine energy. So visualize your gift and feel in your heart the energy with which you're sending it forth, the energy of gratitude, the energy of love, whatever it is. We give so that we may see the Spirit flourish. So hold that vision in your heart and affirm with me our blessing for our tithes and our offerings. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful. And as a community, we are grateful. So it is.
Winds of change will fill your house. Words of love will leave your mouth. Spirit comes and fills your heart with light. Flames of truth shall burn the lies. Every soul will fall and rise with the vibration of higher mind and sight. Many days have come and gone. Spirit comes to be with you. You are witnessing the power. We are seekers of the truth. Make your heart an open door for Spirit to renew. We are one in this place. You are me, and I am you. People gathered one by one. A brand new day has just begun. You must love one another as I love. You are a channel for these gifts. Spirit enfolds and Spirit lifts. When all is hopeless, you must always rise above. Many days have come and gone. The Spirit comes to be with you. You are witnessing the power. We are seekers of the truth. Make your heart an open door for Spirit to renew. We are one in this place. You are me, and I am you. Come on, Amber. Well, many days have come and gone. Spirit comes to be with you. You are witnessing the power. We are seekers of the truth. Make your heart an open door for Spirit to renew. We are one in this place. You are me, and I am you. Yes, we are one in this place. You are me, and I am you.
And that is an original by Sabra. Isn't that fabulous? It's nice to know I am you, and I can sing and play the guitar and do all of that.
It's nice to know that I'm you and I can say amazing things and change people's lives.
Oh, do go on. Oh my. I'm so grateful for each of you, truly. All right, let us stand and we're going to close our service. And here at Unity in the Valley, we have reversed the order of typical closings in a Unity church. We're going to try this for a while, and I appreciate your feedback. If we want to go back the other way, we always can. We can choose again. You know? So we're going to say our prayer for protection, and then we're going to close with singing the peace song.
Yes.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well.